Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for our tournament management webinar. We will be covering the Customer Center today. And so let's jump right in. The Customer Center is kind of the home screen for your club. So as we're looking at here, this is our test club. And this is what a customer center looks like. So when you log in, this is what you go to. It's your home page, and it's where you start. You always start whenever you log in. The general starting place is events and leads. And as you see up here, we have multiple other categories with options in them. Events, leads, master roster, customer settings, event and lead directories, and season management. These are all things I want to talk about today. This will be a shorter webinar, but I think this is important stuff to know, just to kind of get you familiarized with all the different options that you have available. So first, let's start with events and leads. When we click on here, these are the only options that we have available. Events leads, create an event or lead, clone event or lead, and then GGID links. So events and leads looks just like this. We have our options to go create an event or lead, clone event or lead. We've already talked about creating events and leads, and I'll briefly go over cloning here. And then down below, we have our categories. For most of you, if you're brand new to the program, all that you will see under categories is events and leads and archived. These are kind of the basic one. The archived one you can't get rid of, it stays there. The events and leads is a default one that it creates, but you can change the name to whatever you would like. So some options on how to do that is we can edit, and this will open up. So actually here is the default so apparently events, leads, and trips is our default category, so it won't let us change the name, but we can change the color if we would like. Now one that I had created, such as our webinars, I can edit that and change the name to whatever I would like, as well as the color. For the most part, the color doesn't affect much. It's just this kind of option right over here. It's not that big of a deal. Now moving things around, we can use these three bars to grab, click and hold, and we can sort our different categories that we have available. Let's say we want to make a new category. We go up to add category, type in the name we want. Let's just put in a test one for now. We can set a color if we would like, or we can just leave that blank. Hit save. And now we have a new test category. It's showing gray right here because the test category is open. If we were to minimize that, it'll reduce down. Now let's say that we have events that we want to sort through these categories. So I open up one, and let's say this C test here that I have created, I want to move this to my test category. What I'm going to do is click and hold on these three little lines and drag it up to test and drop it. And now if we open up test, we will see that event in the test category. I can do the same thing with any ones that I want. Here's another one that I've done. Move that up and drop it. And archived is a good place to put things that you are done with and sure you can get rid of. So one of the things you will notice in the Customer Center here is that there's under actions, here are the different actions you have for these events. We can go to a portal, go to the event, change category, change season, archive. Well, as you can see, there's no option here to delete. Archive means that it's taken from this category and moved to the archive category. You can do the same thing by hitting change category and selecting which category you want to go to. It's another way to move things around if you don't want to click and drag. So the reason I want to point this out about not being able to delete anything as you can see, even under the archived one, there's no option to delete. You can restore event. So if I had moved something to archive and I want to restore it, what that does is takes it from the archive category and moves it into the old category that it was in. So if it comes to a point where you want to delete events, how we have to do that is you have to contact us, and then we get a hold of Golf Genius and they delete them for you. So the reason that archive is important is rather than trying to delete one event at a time, saying, oh, I'm done with this, get rid of it, that's a lot of work and it's just not really needed. So instead, put those old events that you know you'll never need again, you don't want to clone, you don't need results, any of that. You can put them into this archive folder, and then you call us up, let us know that you want to delete the archive category. So it won't delete the category, excuse me, but it will. We can get them to delete all the events in that archive category. It's just an easier, cleaner way to clean up your list and get those old events out of there that you know you won't need anymore. So that's the basis for categories. They are all here just to help you sort through your events. If you want to use them, great. If you don't, that's completely up to you. The seasons, I will get back to in a minute once we get to it. Select category. This just allows you to, again, sort a little easier to clean it up. Some people might have a lot of categories with a lot of events in it. So rather than having all of them displayed and opening them up like this, it's easier to just click here and only have one displayed. No, however you want to view it, that's your option. So let's go over cloning an event. Just show this. So if we click on clone an event, what this allows us to do is take an old event and duplicate the information within it. So for example, let's find our webinars that we've been doing. I didn't find it here. All right. There we go. So for example, our basic single day TM webinar. So this is the event we want to clone, excuse me. We would type in a new name for it. And then we choose what category we want to go to. We'll just send it to our test one. And then season, we'll talk about this again a little later, but you can select which season you want it to be in. You hit next. And now you get to decide what information you want brought over. So in this case, this is telling it to bring everything over. In most cases, I would say what you really want is not so much your player roster, because that varies over years, but logos and banners, for the most part, those stay the same. The member portal, meaning kind of the setup that you have in the portal that we talked about last week. The tournaments that you're going to be playing. The tournament library just meaning the saved tournaments that you have. And then your general setup for event, division, flights, and teams, and then rounds and series. So as you can see, these two cannot be unchecked, and that is due to because those are primary information that if you're going to clone an event, you want to have over there. So then now if I hit next, it'll ask me what day I want to create this on. Let's say next Wednesday. I'll hit clone. Now it'll go through the process of creating that new event and moving that information over. Give it a minute here. There we go. So now it'll take us directly to that new event that we just created. Now, if we go under golfers, we'll see we have 0 players in the event right now. But under our event, division, flights, and teams, we already have the additional divisions that we set up along with flights and a team list. Now, obviously, there's nobody in here to have in this team list or these flights, but they're there set up. So once we add players, we can easily move them to those different lists and different flights. Under rounds, we don't have any pairings because we don't have people, but under our tournaments, we already have them set up just like they were last year. So stroke play with our 4-person team game, 2-person team game, stins, deuce, TP, long drive, everything that we might have wanted. And so rather than rebuilding all of this, we just clone it over, and all we gotta do is add in the new people, and we're done. Another easy. Now I didn't do it in this one to bring over the roster, but if you know that you're going to have a lot of the same people, you can always bring over the roster and then just remove out the people that you know won't be playing. So to then save yourself some time. This is a great option to use for those games that you play every year. For example, at the home course, we know every year we're going to have a member guest. We're going to have a championship. Every year we're going to play at least one scramble. So rather than duplicating all that, we just clone everything and you can get going. Now it's important that the event that you're cloning it was set up properly, run properly, and you didn't have any issues with it. Because if you clone over something that's incorrect, it's not going to fix it. You need to make sure that you're cloning stuff that has already been created properly. All right, let's go back to our customer center. Okay. Now under events and leads, the last option is GGID links. What this allows you to do is view all the different addresses for your member portals. So these are all the different events that we have created in this account and all the different portal addresses. Now you'll also see at the top here is all leads and events. So I haven't shown you this before, but if we go to this website, what this does is this shows every event that we have in our account. So this is and I'm going to show you here in a minute a way to break this down, but this is a way to create, for example, a year, like you could put 2018, put all your events together in it, and have one spot where people could register for any of them. And I'll show you how to do that here in a little bit. All right, next let's go to master roster. See here, the first couple options are how to add stuff. We can view our master roster, add players. So this is a kind of an important one. One thing you will see here is the only ways to add people to your master roster is to manually add them, such as here, so we're in our master roster viewing it, and as you can see on our options here, the only one that we have is add manually or upload spreadsheet. So this is a little different than how it is for events. There's no, just add one person from Gin or things like that. So, and if you want to add everyone from an event, the easiest thing to do would be to download the event roster and then upload it into your master roster. The reason it doesn't allow you to do like one-offs from Gin is because the master roster has the ability to refresh from Gin. What this does is goes out to Gin, looks at your Gin account for the club, and downloads everybody in it. So now I know a lot of people don't have everyone from their club playing in events all the time, so they really don't need all those people, and that's why it might be easier to. This is where this uploading from spreadsheets is a really good idea, because what you can do is download your roster from Gin, sort through it to find the people that you don't want in your master roster, take them out, and then upload those people to this. The reason that Golf Genius does this with the master roster is to try to keep it a little more contained, because as many of you know who worked with TPP a lot, the master roster got out of control and in a sense almost became a little useless because there was just so many people in it that you just couldn't sort through it easily. They do this to help stop that and make it so the master roster stays contained and is easier to manage. Your other options that you have is manage player default tees. What this allows you to do is to actually set default tees for players. So if you know that in general these people will be playing, you just click here for females. We can set a default tee to, let's say, the whites from the home course, and we can save that. So we know if these people play in an event on the home course, they will be playing from the white tees. And let's say that, and on our test course, they will be playing from the whites also. So it's a way to set a default tee for whatever courses you have set up in your club. Final option down here is manage emails. So what this does is just shows you what emails that you've sent out to your master roster. As you can see here, we haven't really sent any emails. These are just invites that we've sent to get people signed up for as a customer manager in this account. You also have the ability to compose emails right here. So we can filter out which golfers we want, set any managers we want to go to, other emails, attachments, subject, and finally our message. This is just like it was for events, but this is for master roster specifically. This would be a great way to send out an email to everyone in your master roster to say, hey, 2018 schedule is up. You can feel free to go in there and register now. All right. Next category we are going to talk about is customer settings. Start with managers here. So this is where you add any customer manager you want. Now remember, customer managers are the ones that have access to the entire club, all the events, and all the different options. There's no way to differentiate them between having a little bit of control and all the control. It's either kind of all or nothing. It's something that Golf Genius is looking into, but we don't have available right now. To add a new person, all you need to do is click Add New Manager, first name, last name, and email, hit Invite, and it will send them an email to get them signed up, kind of like you guys have gotten in the past. As you can see here, there's also not an option to delete customer managers. If you have people that move on and you don't want to have access anymore, send us an email or let us know, hey, I need this person removed, and we will have Golf Genius remove them for you. All right, default settings for leads and events. So these are the settings that at the start of an event, you have the ability to modify the general settings, handicap, rounds, tournaments. We've gone through this before when setting up an event. And what this is this is just a way for you to set what you want as the basics. So for a simple event, this is how you want it. These are the options you want available, how you want names to look, how you want handicaps to be set up, and all that. And so it's just a way for you guys to make sure that you don't have to edit your event settings every time you create a new event. You can just set up the defaults how you want it, and then you're good to go. I'm not going to go over the individual settings again because they are just like we've talked about before. This is just the overall default for the club. All right. So the default lead and event portal, just like we talked about last week with the event portal, this is the basic one or your basic setup. So what you can do here is set up the general look for all event portals. So every time a new one is created in an event, you have your generalized look and you don't have to recreate the wheel every time. Oh, that was the wrong button. We'll just go back here, return to customer center. All right, course details. This is just like you see we've looked at in the individual events. Allows you to add courses and edit courses with the different T's that they have. So just general settings here, but I just wanted to go over them real quick. Store card library. It shows you what you have saved currently. You can't create new ones in here. You can just view what you have available and maybe delete old ones if you want. As you see, the system ones, which Golf Genius has in there, you can't actually delete. You can just preview them if you'd like. Custom fields. This just allows you to add new fields that are available for master roster and event roster, so you can put in more information if you would like for people. You also have the ability to delete certain ones. The ones that delete aren't highlighted are the ones that Golf Genius added and are kind of default ones. The other ones are the ones that we have put in. And then you can also edit them by changing the name or what type of answer they are. And this allows members to edit. This is something that's available in the premium edition where people can actually set up their own accounts and sign into their individual profile and manage their information themselves. All right, next we do logos, banners, and backgrounds. Again, this is just like we've looked at in events, but this is just a way to do it for your entire club wide, so you don't have to keep adding the same ones over and over again. For the most part, if you're in an event and you add a logo, banner, background, it saves it in here permanently for the whole club. But this is just a good thing to go through at the beginning of the year. Make sure you have all the pictures you want in there that you're going to use, so you don't have to worry about when you're setting up the event and kind of in a hurry or anything. So that's customer settings. Again, these are just kind of the defaults for all your different events and leads. So just a good thing to go through and get familiarized with so you know what you have in there and you are prepared for the year. So rather than getting to an event going, oh man, I don't have that course information in there, now I gotta go through and do all that. Here I can just go and get it all set up beforehand. All right, events, leads, and directories. So this is a pretty simple thing, but what it allows you to do is more control of events and how things look and sorting. So what I mean by that is, so all leads and events is the default one that you can't delete. You can edit a little bit, but not really. Just kind of descriptions. Its default is to have every event in it. All right, so let's create a new one, and I'll try to show you what this allows you to do. So we will create a webinar directory. We can change the GGID if we would like. Description, we will type in here events and leads used for webinars. All right, so what you can do here is now select which events that you want in this directory. So as you can see, you have two different options. You can either select manually or you can have it automatically pull certain events for you. So let's do that. Since we have a category specifically for our webinar, we will click on that and hit save. All right, now let's go back in, edit, and share. I didn't show you the sharing page. I just wanted to make sure that got saved first. So if we go to share, what we have here is, so we'll get to seasons in a minute, but so what this does is gives us a link that we can send to people and have them go to. And what this will do is it'll show people only the events in that specific directory that are available. So in here, we chose the webinar category. So any event that's added to that category is now viewable in this directory. So what this is really nice for is when you're setting up, like let's say your 2018 season, you can set up a 2018 directory Send that link out to all of your members. So now they can easily look at, okay, here are the events that we have in 2018, the name of them, when they're going to happen, approximately how many people are, or how much room is available. And if you have registration set up through them, you can even allow them. So, for example, our multi-day one that we've worked on, we can view that. It'll take them directly to the event portal for the multi-day. And if I have registration open, they would have the ability to register for that event. So again, this is just a great, directories is a great way to again sort your events and make sure that people can see them in a more condensed manner. So rather than, the women's club having to see all the men's events also for the all events and leads, they can just have a women's directory or a men's directory or a senior directory. You can do this however you want. It's an event isn't only available for one directory. It can be put in as many as you want. This is just a way to help you categorize them and send them out to people. This iframe is a way that you can embed this into your website. And if you preview down here, this will show you basically what it would look like if you put it as an iframe into your website. So it'll allow people again. So if you have a women's club website for example, the home course, you could have this just on your website so people could easily just go to the website and view what events are coming up. So it's a great thing to use and utilize for people that have a lot of events and different categories for people to join. So great thing to look at. All right, finally, season management. So we're going to start with seasons. And I know I've been going over this a lot, but seasons is, again, another way to help you categorize and sort through all of your different events. What seasons allow you to do is put your events into different seasons. Now, I created one called webinar, but most people would have one that would say, for example, 2018. And let's say I also had one for 2017, and I will not have this as current season. And let's, yeah, all right. So now you can't really, what these are made for is for, again, sorting through things. So under events and leads, as you saw before, you have seasons. So under our current 2018 season, you can see there's no events available. We have all of our categories, but all those extraneous events that aren't in this season aren't shown because they're not needed. If we go down to 2017, same thing, because we haven't told any of those other events they were in 2017. Our webinar showed one because I purposely put this in that season. As you saw, when you cloned an event, you could choose which season you wanted to go in. And if you go to all, you see all your events are still there. They're just a better way to help you sort through them. So if you have 50 events a year, rather than having to delete all those or move them around every year, we can just use this season button. So in 2017, we would have them all listed here, but as soon as we go to 2018, it's all cleaned up for us and we don't have to worry about it. Great. This is actually a new thing they added just a few months ago. So it's really useful for clubs that have a lot of events going on and just better to help you categorize things. All right, season points. Let's go into this. So season points is again, they updated it in end of December, I think it was. And it's really added a lot more options for you to do season points. It used to be a little harder to work through, but what this allows you to do is, just like in seasons, you add a season category or season point category. So what you do is you enter a name, you can abbreviate however you want, You can do date ranges to show how long the season lasts. You can set maximum number of points, and then player eligibility. So using these options, you can set up season points for seniors, season points for men, for women, for anyone with a certain handicap range. It really allows you to sort through your season points and keep them everything separated out. So what I would do here is, let's just create a test one here. Set up a quick date range, and we'll just put men, and we'll save this. Oh, need to put in the abbreviation. All right, so as you can see here, all I did was create a category. This is just, again, a way to sort people for the season points. Under point allocation table, this allows me to set up how I want points distributed for this certain allocation. So you can have multiple numbers of these, as many as you want, based off of what type of play you are. If it's going to be stroke play, match play, point table, so the number of points that should be receiving points, or the number of positions, excuse me. So let's say we only want the top 3 to receive points. We'll have 100 for first, let's say 1,000, 500, and 250. If we can set up participation points of 100, if they made the cut, which we won't have, the overall round winners, and eligibility, and ties, all the different things. So we save this. Now, you may be looking at this going, well, what do I do with all this? So all this is the general information that you want to have set up. Now, if we go into our events and leads, and let's go to all. So let's go to our multi-day event. All right. Now, let's go to round 1, go to our tournaments. All right. Actually, we'll use this multi-round event, this net 1 person. Okay, so now that we have season point categories and season point allocation tables set up, we have the ability to add that information into these different events and set it up so people will be awarded points for them. So we can set up how we want it to be awarded. So what allocation table do we want to use? We'll use the test one, and where those points will be going. So will they be going to the men's category, the women's, the senior? So we will click on test and hit save. And now those options are being applied to that category. So the category we had and how we had points allocated, those will all be saved in there. Now, if you had more that you wanted to add, you could keep adding them in there. So it's not like you can only add one season point category in there at a time. You can have a test one. So let's say we had one for men, women, and senior. We could have all 3 of those in there. And if for whatever reason you wanted, you could have those in there multiple times with different point allocation tables. It's all however you want to do it, and your club decides they want to do season points. So let's go back to our customer center. Just about done here. So the final one for season management is whole handicap analysis. So I'm not sure how many of you use the whole handicap analysis program on the old Gin computer, but what this allows you to do is, as you go through the years, and if you use tournament management a lot, and you have all those scores saved in there, what you can do is have the system. It won't really work for me because I don't have enough scores in there. But what this does is, so let's say my lead or my event plays the home course on the white tees a lot. So I have a lot of scores in there from the white tees. So what this will do is it'll use all those scores and then calculate where the real handicap strokes fall for your group on that hole. So rather than hole one, let's say the course has hole one labeled as the first hardest hole. Well, you run this, and the course may have it as rated as number one, but you may find for your club, hole 13 is actually number one. It just fun data to use, and it's something that you could use for your specific events, knowing that your club in general plays these holes differently, and it's something you could use for future events and change the handicap holes. Thank you everyone for joining us for our webinar today. I hope you all enjoyed it, and this will be posted on YouTube, so be sure to look there if you would like to watch this again. Have a good day.